one of the things we discussed was whether or not we could cover flooring that probably should not have been covered to begin with. We've had great success at Homewood. It's almost done. Actually, it is done except for this one area. We went ahead and tried to apply for a variance, but the EPA does not allow it, though the village does, and they were willing to do it. So now we're going to have to cover it with carpet anyway. We should have abated this room with the room upstairs. Most of the rooms we did in a much more cost-effective way. We just stripped off glue and carpet and cleaned and prepared the building for the safe and alternative schools. This room, I don't know what the material was that they put on the tile, but it affects it in a very negative way. So the recommendation was to go ahead and abate now because you're going to have to abate it later. Many schools go to just sealing the tile. There are 3 or 4 different ways. I don't need to go into that right now. This tile needs to be taken out, but we don't have the time. We've lost that window of opportunity because we need a 10-day wait at least. And we are going to just simply cover it. The ROE wants to move in next Tuesday, so we don't have time to do anything but put an underlayment there, some kind of lamp carpet. And they're going to have to change their plans a little bit at the ROE about the use of that room. But I know that a lot of misinformation is out there, blogging and websiting, because it's all dramatic and it gets everyone's attention. There is no issue with our asbestos. There's nothing different that we've done today than was done yesterday. I had a guy working in asbestos for 50 years look at that building. We've had everybody under the sun inspect that building, and there continues to be misinformation. We are in compliance with code and the law, and that's all that's necessary. So there is no vote. I mean, there's no.
So we're going to cover it with carpeting, or are we going to seal it?
It's sealing.
It
will be appropriate seal.
There's going to have to be something.
They'll take care of it, and Friday there is going to be an asbestos inspection just to protect the board because of the purposeful misinformation being circulated in this community. So I'm having inspectors come in right after to again assure us that we are doing all we need to do to protect our community and each other.
At some point in time in the future, we're going to have to.
Oh, it's a big waste of money because now we're going to tear it off.
Since there has been no one in there and the heat's built up, the glue affected that linoleum that they put down, and now it is just segmentedly cracked. Now,
It's
still
cracked.
adhered
It's still
to the
adhered,
floor,
but it's cracked.
every one of them is just literally cracked.
All right, I thought they could do this, take this stuff out in like 7-10 days.
Well, they can, but
Yeah,
we've
have
lost the
variance.
window of opportunity. You need the EPA. There's
Yeah.
all contrary.
ROE is
Yeah.
moving in a
Right.
few days.
We had a very small window of opportunity here. And that's why, generally speaking, you allow.
I got a letter in the mail today. I don't know if anybody else got it or not.
Well,
From Ideal.
That's again misinformation by one of your FOIA. There's several people, and I'm going to give all the information. Hopefully, Channel 22 will
We
start
don't know who
reporting
that
by
came
then.
from.
We all got that.
Nobody bothered to put a return
well,
address
that's
on
our
it.
typical.
I don't care. I'm looking at the date here, April 3rd. So that window of opportunity has been 6 or 8 months. Why didn't we act on this in April?
Because number one, you didn't need to. Number two, as a school administrator, it is very standard to collect information. Isn't it you, Mrs. Bailey, that's always saying who, what, where, when, why?
That's right.
So, when the ROE wanted to move in and we were closing the deal, we have inspectors in and out of there constantly. I have a very good relationship with all of those companies and all of the proprietors. That was FOIA'd
Okay.
That information came from Freedom of Information. There's nothing private about that. I asked a company what they would charge, and they give me a price. I ask another company what they charge, they give me a better price. I go with the other company. This is just collecting information. And if it does support the fact that we just don't all of a sudden decide to go do something. We have records that demonstrate, we've had conversations for a long time, but we spend money correctly, carefully. We are good stewards of the community's dollars. And so I wouldn't just get a bid and act on it. We want to see if we have to. So what we did was we removed the glue from that floor like we had every other floor in the building. We had to take out the carpet because it was all mildewed. Again, it was spread around, we had black mold and we had mildew, but it ruined the carpets. You had to remove them. In every other room, we removed them successfully, stripped the glue, and finished the floor. We did the same to this room, and it was apparent that we're going to have to take this out. It will be affected over time to the point that it will break. So now we have to cover it again because we've lost the window of opportunity to abate it. Is it dangerous? No. Was it ever dangerous? No. In matter of fact, I had a tile expert say to me, I don't know in 50 years of removing this stuff if anybody's ever died of asbestosis from tile. So, we are honoring the code and the law. I'm not an asbestos expert. I only know that I've talked to about 5 of them.
Okay.
I have to rely on them professionally to make decisions to bring to the board so you can make good decisions. And that's why we collected that information, and he said, yeah, you can cover it, but if you don't want to cover it, here's what it's going to cost you. Now we're supposedly putting this out there that we had all this information and we didn't act on it. We weren't ready to act on anything. And when we were ready to act, we were encumbered because a press policy was changed to lower my ability to make a decision until a board meeting was called. Now we've lost the window of opportunity. So my recommendation to the board is to revisit the policy to give the superintendent the authority that we need during building projects to move forward. That's why this isn't happening, and we're going to have to stop and cover it up, only to uncover it one day and abate it.
Weren't they in here 2 weeks ago, a month ago?
They've been in here many, many times.
And they did the upstairs. And
Right.
I kept questioning, what are we going to do with that downstairs room? I didn't know what number it was,
Well,
but
I was curious because my take, and I'd have to go back and watch the YouTube blog, is that you were concerned about the expenditure of money, not concerned about the removal of asbestos. You were concerned,
I
am
kept
I
asking for reports,
am
correct?
I correct? You were
I didn't get
concerned
this
about.
report from you, Mrs. Davis. That's what's so upsetting. I got it in the mail.
You shouldn't get it. Well, you got it in the mail because.
But shouldn't you
well,
give
let's
the
not-
board members a copy of this just to make them aware?
You need information when the information is real. And the point is, that was information that I collected for future report in an eventuality. What we have discovered is that as soon as information is released, it is misrepresented to the community. So it's really, really important now not to release any information until we're very clear about what that message is and what the action is. I can probably go back for the last 10 years and find conversations about asbestos, about Homewood, about roofs. When it's appropriate to share that information, we do.
There's a good point. After looking at the upstairs room, that is a beautiful yellow pine floor that's underneath all that. And no linoleum's gonna have to go back down.
Well, so we're saving money in a time of great economic challenge. So there was nothing hidden, nothing not transparent. If I handed you every piece of information I solicited from someone, we'd have to kill a forest for the trees of paper that would be disseminated to the board.
Well, this says during the 6-month surveillance inspection, so I
But
just assumed this was
That's
twice
what-
a year.
Assume. I asked them for a quote. But when it was FOIA'd for all the information. That was not required, it was not recommended, it was not part of the inspection. I asked them for a quote, and they gave it to me. And so when these guys were upstairs, I said, hey, if we can't fix this floor down here, what would you do it for? That's good business.
Did we get a quote from them then?
We did, and it was significantly lower, but we've lost the window of opportunity to do it because they want to move in. So we have to cover it up. So we don't need a motion.